up, everybody? Welcome inside the MRN studios. It is another edition of NASCAR Coast to Coast, where we dive into all things NASCAR regional. My name is Chris Wilner. Of course, joining me as well from Connecticut is Kyle Rickey, your hosts with the most. And Kyle, we are crowning more champions. We are getting ready for the biggest late model stock race of the season at Martinsville this weekend. We got a lot to talk about this week, but first off, how was your weekend? You got to spend it in Bristol, covering ARCA and the Truck Series this weekend.
Yeah, well, we started there and we ended at Stafford Speedway here in Connecticut, and then did a whole lot of nothing. Watched the NASCAR Cup Series race from Bristol Motor Speedway on Saturday night. It was a good weekend. Always good to get out to Thunder Valley. It's a great little racetrack, fun midweek doubleheader that the racetrack has been hosting for years ago with the modifieds and the trucks, and now with the ARCA Menard Series, along with the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. So it's good to see everybody. And, it was a fun weekend.
Fun weekend, especially if your name is William Sawalich, our newly crowned and now back-to-back ARCA East champion here this season. He's going to join us in segment number 2 to talk about his championship, his season as a whole. Of course, him and Connor Zilich with that little bit of a rivalry, and then maybe his plans for 2025 and beyond as one of our young stars on the rise. So looking forward to William joining us in segment number 2. Of course, this show, by the way, brought to you by Whelen Engineering, manufactured in America for over 70 years. We'd like to thank our friends at Whelen Engineering. But let's start right there as we take a look at the weekend that was, Kyle, with the ARCA Menard Series and East combo at Bristol, the finale for the ARCA East Championship. Connor Zilich came in with a 16-point lead. William Sawalich knew what he had to do, and that was to win the race. And that's what he did, but he also had some luck on his side with an unfortunate ending to Connor's race there. Just got swept up in an incident.
Yeah, Logan Mizuraka spun over in turn number 3 after contact with another car, spun down the racetrack, and unfortunately Connor was there with nowhere to go, ending his race and ending his chances at a championship. By far his worst finish of the year. In fact, it was his only incident of the year in the ARCA Menards East Series. What was a near perfect year. But I opened the door for William to pick up the win at 17 years of age. He's a 2-time ARCA East champion, won the title by 12 points over Connor Zilich, who ended up in the second spot when all was said and done. Really good race for the most part at the front. A lot of yellow, 13 cautions, a race record. But, you'll have that when you start 34 cars on a half-mile racetrack.
Certainly will. Action pack all over the place. You and Dylan Welch on the call for the Motor Racing Network, and it was a fun race to watch and see William have to navigate through traffic as well, because it wasn't easy. Just because Connor got taken out certainly didn't make the race win any easier, but William was able to get it done. Of course, 3 wins on the season on the East platform, 7 top 5s, 7 top 10s on his way to the championship. I do want to point out a really nice run for Corey Day in just his, I believe, second ARCA platform start at Bristol. Of course, lining up some Truck Series starts as well. How impressive was he behind the HendrickCars.com Chevrolet?
Yeah, kept his nose clean, and I think that was the biggest factor for him, is just keep your nose clean, get as many laps as possible, get the experience that is racing at Bristol Motor Speedway. He did just that, and ran well in both the ARCA Menards race and the truck race later that night.
Yeah, of course, he's not done for this season either, getting back on the pavement, the sprint car phenom. Finishing in the top 5 over the weekend was Landon Lewis, a good second-place run for Landon. LeVar Scott, of course, still chasing Andres Perez in the championship, finished in 3rd. And speaking of Andres, he was right behind his teammate in 4th, and Dean Thompson rounding out the top 5. So when we look at the ARCA Menard Series Championship, Kyle, still winless are the regulars, but the championship coming down to Toledo, and it's Andres Perez by 53 points. LeVar Scott still mathematically eligible, but boy, it's going to take a miracle, I think, for that to happen. But if you're Andres Perez, how big is Toledo going to be just to try to find something to get a win? Maybe he's calling up William and Connor saying, why don't you guys just don't show up for this finale?
That's probably what it's going to take to have a shot at it. But two races to go. Kansas this weekend, Toledo in a couple of weeks. 53 points. That's going to be tough for LeVar Scott, Chris Wright, 2nd and 3rd, Wright 84 back, for them to even have a shot at Andres Perez, who's been very consistent toward the front of the field all year long, no matter the type of racetrack that the ARCA Menard Series has been running at. Still looking for that first win, but my guess is he'll take a championship as well, even if he does go winless.
Oh, for sure. 100%. Of course, MRN will have the call at Kansas. We'll talk about that race coming up later up in the show. How about the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour at the Winchester Fair presented by USNE at Monadnock Speedway? And that was a good one as well, with championship implications on the line, with 3 races now to go after Monadnock. Patrick Emmerling, I don't think anybody in the world of NASCAR regional racing is any hotter than Patrick Emmerling. Of course, we had him on the show after winning 2 in a row. He's now like 3 for 4 in the
Yep.
last month and a half, and clawing back in the championship. It's now a 3-horse race because he is right in the mix as well after getting the win at Monadnock Speedway. Had to do it, Kyle, by passing Matt Hirschman. No easy task, especially at a place like Monadnock.
In the outside lane on a restart, it was fun to watch. They were side by side for about 4 laps following that late race restart, but he was able to take the win, led just the final 10 circuits en route to his 3rd win in 4 races, as you mentioned. It was a fun race. A lot happened from start to finish. Ron Silk got turned around not once, but twice. Some contact with Justin Bonsignor at one point. So 11 points between those two. And like you mentioned, Emmerling slowly but surely closing in. 16 points back, and they still have a lot of racing left. 3 to go. North Wilkesboro coming up next week. A big field of cars expected. They come back up north to the Thompson Speedway in a few weeks, expecting a good field there. And then, of course, the Martinsville Speedway for the finale next month. So a lot happening for the modifieds, and three driver battle right now. Austin Beer's 4th in points, 50 back, maybe a bit too far out of the championship picture, but these next 2 races are going to be fun.
They're going to be fun, and they're at really good racetracks, too, and you just listed them off: North Wilkesboro, Thompson, and of course, Martinsville. So some iconic racetracks to end the year. I don't think for the Tory that you could have scripted this any better, with not only the
No.
championship battle, but a little bit of a rivalry, because that's not the only time we saw over the weekend Justin Bonsignor and Ron Silk have gotten into each other on the racetrack. And of course, they're going to keep banging fenders, throughout the rest of the season. So going to be fun to watch. By the way, with the win, Patrick Emmerling did lock up the Wheeling Granite State Short Track Cup, the extra $3,000 for all 3 races at
Right.
Monadnock. He had a pair of 3rd place finishes, and then of course picked up the win. So a nice pocket full of cash, I should say, that you should take it home if you're Patrick Emmerling. Good stuff. All right, NASCAR Canada season wrapping up their season. And Kyle, Autodrome Monagny, I'm going to go ahead and just throw it out there that's how I'm going to say it, produced another thriller. We had Marc-Antoine Cameron, of course, coming in as the championship leader. Kevin Lacroix, Andrew Ranger were all in the mix. But it came down to really who was going to finish ahead of who. Kevin Lacroix needed a little more help, but he came up with the win. But how about Marc-Antoine Cameron? He just already posted he wants number 3. He's got championship number 2, and he's already ready for number 3. But what a run to end the NASCAR Canada season that has been thrilling all 13 races now.
And some new faces toward the front of the field during the Expel 225 the other day as well. Will LaRue finished in 2nd, Alex Gannett in 3rd, Matthew Kingsbury 4th, Donald Teach, who's a regular, rounded out the top 5. So a lot of new faces racing toward the front, but nobody could stop Kevin Lacroix for the race win. Marc-Antoine Cameron, all he had to do was finish like 15th or better to clinch the championship. He did that with a 6th place effort. So 2nd title in 3 years. And he finished 2nd in that only other year that he didn't win the title a year ago. So 4-time winner this season, well earned for Marc-Antoine Cameron.
Certainly did. So congratulations to Marc-Antoine Cameron. Hopefully we'll try to get him locked in here in the show as we wrap up NASCAR Coast to Coast in the next several weeks. But congratulations to him. What a season. Probably one of the most competitive we've seen as well, with not really a runaway champion like we had seen. I mean, I believe Mark's first championship, he led almost the entire season. This one had gone back and forth with the multi-time winners as well. So really good stuff to see. Congratulations to him. Some other winners over the weekend. We talked about Matt Hirschman coming up just short with the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. He went on Sunday and won his 9th Race of Champions event, the 250 at Lake Erie Speedway on Sunday. Kyle Crump won the JEG CRA All-Star Nationals at Owasso. It was a rain-shortened event. Of course, Mother Nature has been plaguing some of the regions of the country here this weekend, including down here yesterday. Gabe Brown also claimed the pivotal ACT Fall Foliage 200 at White Mountain, padding his championship points lead despite it being his first win of the season. So congratulations to our other winners. Kyle, I'm not forgetting anybody up in your neck of the woods, am I?
I don't think so. You got all the major touring series completed. I know we had a new winner in the SK Modifieds on Friday night, Todd Owen. picked up his first win of the season after going winless since the season finale a year ago when he won his third championship. So congratulations to Todd and finally securing that first victory.
That's right. First victory almost at the end of the season, too, with the
Yep.
fall final coming up this weekend. All right, we've got William Sawalich standing by to join us here on NASCAR Coast to Coast. The champ is coming up next here after this quick break. You're watching NASCAR Coast to Coast, brought to you by Whelen Engineering.
Whelen Engineering, a global leader in the emergency warning industry, designs and manufactures reliable and powerful warning lights, white illumination lighting, sirens, controllers, and warning systems for the automotive, aviation, and mass notification industries worldwide. Whelen products are designed, sourced, and manufactured in America and tested on site to meet the toughest industry standards. Whelen Engineering, manufactured in America for over 70 years. We never left, and we're here to stay.
Welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast here on the Motor Racing Network, and joining us as promised, the driver of the number 18 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota, who captured his second straight ARCA East championship over the weekend. It is William Sawalich. William, congratulations, my friend. Locked it up at Bristol. What were the emotions like? I guess really first off, how does this one compare to 2023?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, we had a really fast Darky Sound Gear Toyota Camry at Bristol. JGR brought me a good car as always, so really thankful for that. Yeah, I mean, we were going into the race 16 points behind. We left 12 points ahead, so I mean, fortunate for us, but I mean, it was a really good race overall, and we've always been super strong there. And like you mentioned, we won the race last year, so I mean, it's just really cool to do it 2 times in a row and 2 championships, 2 wins in a row. So I mean, I don't think it could have gone any better for us.
Well, no, it couldn't. Win the race, win the championship 2 in a row at 17 years of age. But bring us through the emotions of the day, the race, and the moment that you saw Connor out of shape on the racetrack at the bottom of the racetrack with the damaged race car.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of shocked. Honestly, they told me 28 ripped the right side off. So, I mean, I kind of assumed that he was done at that point. And I mean, I don't know. I didn't really change my mindset or anything for the race. I was already just trying to go for the win because that was the best that I could do with the point situation of that time. And then, I mean, honestly, nothing changed too much, and I got to celebrate after, and that's when all the emotions hit. So just tried to stay super calm and not mess anything up and not do anything too stupid in the race to hurt our chances to win, even though they got even better.
And you mentioned, too, coming into the race being 16 points down. How would you assess maybe that approach, right? Because I know you and your team, your crew chief, Matt Ross, it's pretty much business as usual, whether you're down in the points or you're up in the points. We like to keep things the same. But how did you guys kind of compartmentalize all that, focus on, and what was the approach going into Bristol before things played out?
Yeah. I mean, approach was just go win the race, get max points, and honestly see what would happen. If we got lucky, then we get lucky, and we ended up getting lucky. So I feel like the plan that we had was the right plan and right mindset. Didn't need to do anything special, just run our race and see what happened. It was kind of like that for a month or 2 out, and that was kind of our mindset. And Milwaukee, we kicked their butts and got some points back, but not enough. So yeah, I mean, nothing too special, just kind of another race.
Mentioned got some points back. The only real hiccup for you guys this year was at Dover, one of the first races of the season back in the spring. How would you characterize the year as a whole, at least the 8-race ARCA Menards East season for you guys?
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, we were super consistent on all our finishes this year. They always brought me a good car, always in contention. Me and Connor always had good battles, and I mean, it was just a solid year, better than last year. I think that was my focus, is just to improve and learn as much as I could. And also doing the truck races with the ARCA races on companion races. So just getting that extra experience on those weekends would help me just be more ready for the ARCA race the same weekend as the truck race. So, I mean, there's a lot of things to make this happen, and really thankful for everybody.
You mentioned growing as a race car driver, and I'm always curious, as somebody who's now been through the ARCA platform for a couple years now, what are you Well, I guess what have you seen yourself grow into as a race car driver? What are some of the things, maybe the difference from 2023 to 2024 that you've seen change as you're developing? Because obviously we know, things are going to get bigger and better in the next couple of years. So what's it been like kind of seeing yourself transition and grow as a race car driver? And what do you feel like you've learned this year?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the speed has always been there for me. I think the only thing I was missing last year were the little things like the restarts. I think the restarts were honestly the biggest things for me because I lost 2 races like that last year, and that sucked. And I wanted to get better at them, and I think that was the biggest thing that I worked on. And honestly, I proved everyone wrong and got them a lot better. So I mean, I was really thankful for that. My team helped me out a lot. Um, and I think road courses was another big thing. The team stepped up their program. I stepped up my program. I gained a lot of speed, and we won Portland and Mid Ohio this year, 2 out of the 4 road courses we did. So I was really, really proud of that. And those were our worst finishes last year on the road courses. We also got the dirt win this year at Springfield. So all around the board, we were just good everywhere.
High-speed racetracks coming next here in a little bit anyway. You turn 18 in just over a week from now. How excited are you to be 18 and, begin to think about, that big track experience?
Yeah, no, it's going to be really fun. It's going to be something different, new learning curve. Been doing short tracks for 4 years now. So, I mean, I kind of wanted a little bit of a change. I want to do the super speedways, the mile and a halves, and everything in between, and learn about air. I feel like I've got a decent understanding, but I haven't felt it yet. So I'm eager to feel that and just everything else that comes with it. Just a different style of racing, and just wanting to learn something new.
Yeah, I know one of those tracks coming up for you that you're also going to run Truck and Xfinity is at Homestead. So who do you lean on? I guess anybody at JGR or any one of your fellow competitors that have already made the jump? Like, what is that experience like? Obviously, you can do some work in the sim and things like that, but I mean, who are some people that maybe you lean on for advice when it comes to making that next step?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, Ty, I've leaned on a little bit, and his mindset's just kind of get in, drive it, and drive it hard, honestly. So just not think about it too much and do your thing. So that's what I'm going to try and do. And usually when I do my thing, it goes well. And I'm really excited to make my first Xfinity Series start with Joe Gibbs racing on October 26th at Homestead. So that'll be a lot of fun. I finally get to get in one of the Xfinity cars. Been waiting for it for a while, so it'll be a lot of fun.
That's going to be part of my final question for you is what's on the horizon. Obviously, some more truck series starts coming up this year, the NASCAR Xfinity series, like you mentioned at Homestead. What any other breaking news before the end of the season for you? I know there's still a lot of racing left at all platforms.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. I got 4 truck races left.
Yep.
Dega, Phoenix, Martinsville, and Homestead. And then Xfinity Series starts. Got the 3 at the end of the year: Homestead, Martinsville, Phoenix. And then I got 2 ARCA races to finish out the season with the team. And then I got the Derby at the end of the year to have a little bit of fun.
Well, it's always nice to have a little bit of fun. Do you have an idea of what 2025 may or may not look like, or where are we at on those conversations? Obviously, you're continuing to begin to experience what the next level looks like, but do you have an idea yet of what maybe your full-time opportunity may look like?
Yeah, I mean, we're still figuring it out. We're just going to see what the end of this year holds and how everything goes, and we'll figure it out.
And before I let you go, obviously, too, we talk about young talent, and you are certainly somebody that everybody's got their eyes on, looking forward to the future, is racing on Sundays sooner rather than later. There's another driver who's getting close to doing that as well, Connor Zilich. You mentioned it a little bit, battling for the ARCA East title. How has it been racing, Connor? I know there's been some incidents on the racetrack and maybe some hurt feelings, in the past. But when you look at the talent both of you have, I mean, how has it been racing Connor? And obviously you two are going to be racing each other for the next 30 years. I feel like we're going to be talking about both of you. So what has that relationship been like over the course of the year, and how do you see that kind of moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a rocky start at Dover.
Yeah.
One of our first races together, actually racing each other. So that didn't go as planned. And then Iowa, I just raced him really hard, I thought. And he didn't really appreciate that. And then, I mean, we kind of raced fine everywhere else. But I mean, he's different. He's a different guy to race. Like nothing I've ever raced. He's just got a different mindset than everyone else. So it's fun kind of figuring him out and learning what his weaknesses are.
Awesome. Well, we can't wait to see, William, what you do the rest of this year. Obviously, congratulations on all your success, including the championship. Rooting for you, buddy, and hopefully we'll catch up to you down the road. And again, as you continue to climb the ladder, best of luck.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. William Sawalich, ARCA East champion ×2, back-to-back, of course, ending this year at Bristol as another champion. All right, we got plenty more to come here on Coast to Coast, including the calendar and some news and notes as we crowned a NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts weekly national champion. We'll talk about that coming up next here on NASCAR Coast to Coast, brought to you by Whelen Engineering.
Whelen Engineering, a global leader in the emergency warning industry, designs and manufactures reliable and powerful warning lights, white illumination lighting, sirens, controllers, and warning systems for the automotive, aviation, and mass notification industries worldwide. Whelen products are designed, sourced, and manufactured in America and tested on site to meet the toughest industry standards. Whelen Engineering, manufactured in America for over 70 years. We never left, and we're here to stay.
Welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast, brought to you by Whelen Engineering. Appreciate William Sawalich for stopping by. And, of course, Kyle, I don't think he's done. He's probably just wondering or waiting till he can finally turn 18 so we can start getting on the big tracks. He's sick of watching Connor Zilisch already doing so, who already turned 18 earlier this year. But the sky's the limit for William as we look ahead to 2025.
Couple of weeks, first week of October, and then he'll be cleared to run everywhere the ARCA Menard Series goes and everywhere the NASCAR National Series go, for that matter. So we'll be seeing, no doubt, a lot more of him and getting some of that high-speed experience in the draft and in traffic here over the coming months and years, no doubt, for William.
Absolutely. And of course, he's not done. He'll be a part of at least this weekend at Kansas, and then I'm sure at Toledo to wrap up the ARCA Menard Series Championship. Some news and notes. The big thing really this past week, Kyle, is we were alerted yesterday, being Tuesday as we record this on Wednesday, that Connor Hall is now a back-to-back NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly National Champion. He locked that up officially with NASCAR and Advanced Auto Parts making that announcement on Tuesday afternoon. 18 wins on the NASCAR regional schedule, 5 other runner-up finishes. It was a runaway championship on the Division I level for pretty much the entire season. I think all but maybe the first week when somebody came out and won like 2 in a row on a weekend. But other than that, it's been all Connor Hall. And what a way to sew up the championship. Of course, he also is leading the Cars Tour points. He's leading the Virginia Triple Crown, or in that championship hunt as well, as we go to Martinsville this weekend. Things are pretty good if you're Connor Hall, I'd say, Kyle.
They are. And he worked hard for it. 18 wins and 26 starts. Those wins coming at 5 different racetracks. So that's the other thing, is he's allowed to really partake in this championship battle because of the number of racetracks that he can compete in and week out. Places like Langley Speedway, South Boston, Florence Motor Speedway, Hickory Motor Speedway, Southern National Motorsports Park, all tracks in which he has won at, all tracks that get, for the most part, pretty good car counts, and allowed him to pick up his second consecutive national championship.
And I remember last year when he won the national title, he was actually the first driver from Langley to win, which almost surprised me when you look at just the history of Langley Speedway down here in the southeast region of the United States. But now is the first to go back to back, which is pretty impressive. So congratulations to Connor. I know is well deserved, and I'm sure he celebrated maybe for a brief minute on Tuesday, but I know they're getting that late model at Nelson Motorsports ready for Martinsville to chase a grandfather clock. I know last year was disappointing, and he would want nothing more to cap off a season than winning one of the coveted crown jewels in late model stock racing. So, and of course, still leading the Cars Tours. We mentioned 1 point over Brendan Butterbean Queen, who that race is going to go down to the finale as well, as they have a few races left in their season. And by the way, also had a big year, made his Truck Series debut at Richmond a few weeks ago, finishing in the top 10. So congratulations to Connor, our NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly National Champion of 2024, back-to-back. All right, how about the calendar coming up this week? Kyle Rickey, ARCA Menard Series, we mentioned earlier in the show, is back at it at Kansas. Motor Racing Network will have that call Friday night, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. 2 races to go in the series, the 28th visit to Kansas. It's a big track, 1.5 miles. we see some speed differentials, but who do you have your eyes on as we look ahead to Kansas on Friday?
Can I say Andres Perez?
Sure.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I
he
would
hasn't
think
won
so.
yet. I mean, he's got two to go. So I think, he might be tough trying to get a win. LeVar Scott, second in points, 53 points back. You'll have a lot of the outsiders, I'm sure, from the East entered in the event. The race the last 2 years, has been won by Connor Mosack. So haven't heard much from him as of late, at least at that level. But yeah, we'll see. Andres Perez, my pick for this weekend, finally going to get that first win.
Okay, we're going to bookmark that. We're going to clip it and we're going to save it so that when it happens, you can send it to him and say, I'm the reason why, Andres, that you got the win. I'm just kidding. But no, that's a good pick. Absolutely. And he has been right there as well. And it may take a little misfortune from a Connor Zilich to maybe open the door, but we've seen that happen already. So never say never. And Rev Racing, like you mentioned, has been good here with Nick Sanchez having won a couple of times in that car. Tanner Gray, though, could be somebody to watch as well back in the Joe Gibbs Racing number 18 because William isn't old enough yet. And of course, he dominated Kansas earlier in the spring. He nearly won Charlotte without a little bit of misfortune. So keep an eye on Tanner Gray. Gio Ruggiero making his first big track start as well as he gets old enough to run. Corey Day back in action as well. And then, of course, we mentioned Connor Zilich with 5 wins. So it's going to be fun to watch. Kansas is always difficult because of the air and having to navigate that if you're not used to it. It could certainly send you for a loop in the turbulence, knowing how to pass. So it's going to be fun to watch. Again, Motor Racing Network has that 5:30 Eastern time on MRN. ARCA West Series is back in action. Haven't talked about them here as of late, but it's the West Coast Stock Car Motorsports Hall of Fame 150 at Madera Speedway. Saturday night, again, late start time for those of us on the Eastern Seaboard, 10 p.m. on Flow Racing. Race number 8 of 12, Kyle. And their championship battle is between two drivers, Tyler Reif and Sean Hingarani.
Separated by just 7 points, another 46 back to Jack Wood. You mentioned 4 to go in their championship battle. I know there's a stop coming up at Kern County Raceway Park, Kevin Harvick's Kern County Raceway, Phoenix Raceway, which we'll have here on the Motor Racing Network to wrap up their 2024 season to kick things off at championship weekend in November. So a lot of racing still out west. Tight championship battle. Tyler Reif, Sean Hingarani, last year's champion. Reif looking to become a champion, got some extra laps last weekend at the Bristol Motor Speedway as well in the ARCA field. So it was cool to see, the West Championship point leader racing with the best from the East and the best from the National Tour as well. So going to be fun late this weekend.
Late, very late this weekend as well. And Tyler comes in on a 2-race win streak. We know Sean Hingarani, he's bounced around with some teams, including Venturini Motorsports. He's got a pair of wins, sweeping Irwindale. So it's going to be tight. Jack Wood there in third with 3 top 5 finishes as well. 46 points back, maybe a little bit too far out of reach. But I do want to give a shout out to Rip Michaels making his ARCA Menard Series West debut, a former NASCAR Southwest Tour winner back in 2006. It's going to drive for Jan Quackenbush. So opportunity for Rip to make some laps and make his series debut. So good stuff. And then you come back all the way from California to the Eastern Seaboard and the Southeast, and Martinsville Speedway, where all eyes in late model stock world will be on Martinsville Speedway coming up on Saturday night for the Valley Star Credit Union 300 late model stock race here on the Motor Racing Network. Yours truly and Dylan Welch actually making my booth debut this weekend for the Motor Racing Network. Gonna have a crew down there and cover the race, which has always been exciting. It's a who's who of late model racing. And Kyle, last year, we saw arguably one of the best races in recent time when it comes to late model stocks with a photo finish, banging fenders, Landon Huffman and Trevor Ward. I would expect we may see something like that similar this weekend.
Trevor Ward, of course, picking up that win a year ago. Nearly 80 cars on the entry list. Qualifying begins on Friday night. You'll have guys like Timothy Peters, Brent Cruz, Carson Quapple, Bobby McCarty, Sam Yarborough, who we've talked about on this show so many years, a longtime champion at the former Myrtle Beach Speedway. You meant Connor Hall in the race, Peyton Sellers, first and second in the Triple Crown, the Virginia Triple Crown Championship standings. So a lot of storylines within the race. Gonna be fun. Can't wait to tune you guys in on Saturday night from the Martinsville Speedway. Hopefully you get a nice calm race. You don't have the chaos of years ago, 2-3 years ago, when there were oil downs and cars upside down and on fire. Yeah. It took forever to seemingly get through the 200 lap feature. So hopefully you won't have that this week.
In a perfect world, I'll take last year's race because it was relatively calm at the start, but there were still, plenty of things to talk about. We got to that first 5-minute break at lap 100. The intensity started to pick up. Some drivers took tires, some drivers waited to lap 175. And then that last 25 laps was arguably some of the most fun to call. And I was in the turn a year ago, and still one of my favorite races to call. So we'll see what happens this year. Of course, there are some drivers looking for redemption this year with Mike Looney, a former winner,
Yep.
wrecking out last year, having a mechanical problem. Same too with Bobby McCarty, who won the pole, had a mechanical gremlin as well. So some drivers looking for redemption, and there may be a new name. Like Trevor Ward was a surprise winner
He
last year,
was.
running out of his own stable, pretty much a family car. He built the car himself, so took it to the big teams last year. We'll see what happens again. Qualifying Friday, 4 25-lap heat races on Saturday afternoon will set the 40 card starting field. So top 10 from each race. And speaking of action, Kyle, that's where most of it happens, is those heat races. And we've seen
Yes.
some fisticuffs happen afterward as well. I think 2 years straight we've had a fight back in the pit. So we'll see what happens this year. But the final big story I want to talk to you about is Lee Pulliam getting back behind the wheel. Of course, championship winner, multi-time winner at the Valley Star Credit Union 300, looking for number 3. But he's getting back behind the wheel, first time in like 4 years, I believe.
First race in 4 seasons. I think he still has it. He was always strong at Martinsville whenever he competed there. Heck, he was strong whenever he got in his race car. So multi-time national champion, track champions all over the East Coast. Yeah, no doubt will add a lot of flair to Saturday night's feature event.
For sure. And of course, he's running Brendan Queen's car. He'll be out at
Mm-hmm.
Kansas that weekend. So good stuff. Looking forward to bringing it to you here on the Motor Racing Network. Some other races this weekend. We've got championship weekend at Riverhead on Saturday. A lot of dirt racing going on the Flow channel if you do subscribe to that. And then Kyle, up in your neck of the woods, we wrap things up with the Napa Fall Final on Saturday. It is going to be a jam-packed show on Flow. What can fans expect? Maybe tuning the dial over on Saturday.
Yeah, we got a big event on Friday night. I say a big event. It's just a weekly race program, our next to last Friday night program of the season. And then Saturday, we're going to turn right around and have the Monaco Modified Tri-Track Series. 40 cars are entered. All the big names in modified racing will be at the Stafford Speedway, racing for $15,000+. Ron Silk, Matt Hirschman, Doug Kobe, Ronnie Williams. The list goes on and on and on of names that have found success at Stafford Speedway over the years, or currently, or on some of the other tours, including the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour up here in the Northeast. So they crested the 40 number yesterday, and hopefully maybe some more entries will follow suit between now and when the pits open on Saturday afternoon.
Well, it's going to be fun to watch, and we'll have to dial up my Flow Racing on my phone, maybe there in the booth on Saturday at Martinsville. Pull a Kyle Rickey and maybe try to check in
That's right.
some of the action there from Stafford, but good stuff. Hopefully Mother Nature cooperates with you as well. I know we're watching the weather for Martinsville as well, looking 50-50 so far, but again, it's early in the week, so we'll see what happens. Before we let the fans go, what driver do you have circled as your driver of the week this week, Kyle?
I'm going to go with Patrick Emmerling. Hard to ignore, 3 wins in 4 races, and an incredible power move on Matt Hirschman, something that very few people have been able to do the last couple of years. And he was bound and determined to make that pass no matter what he had to do. And he did it in the outside lane at Monadnock Speedway. It took him a couple of laps, but got the job done, got the win, and right back in the championship battle with 3 to go.
100%. Good pick, Kyle. I like it. Patrick Emmerling, our driver of the week. Don't forget, folks, Motor Racing Network is on the air this weekend. We alluded to it several times. Here's the schedule beginning Friday night. The ARCA Reese's 150 at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time on MRN. Immediately following is the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Kubota Tractors 200 playoff event at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Then we go to Saturday, where it is a triple header, NASCAR practice and Cup Series qualifying at 1 o'clock Eastern Time from Kansas, and then the Kansas Lottery 300 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoff opener at 3:30 p.m. And then the nightcap brought to you by yours truly down here at Martinsville Speedway on Saturday night, the Valley Star Credit Union 300 late model stock event at 7 p.m. And it all leads into Sunday. NASCAR Live Race Day gets you set for the Hollywood Casino 400 Cup Series race at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, the round of 12 playoff opener. Kyle, lots going on in NASCAR. Ready to get after it here as we wind down the month of September already.
Yeah, busy weekend up here in the Northeast, down in the Southeast. I may have to tune you in
Yeah,
live
please do. I need some critiques, please.
from Stafford Speedway as we're competing in our event, and then of course all the boys. They have 4 big races at the Kansas Speedway this weekend, so a lot happening here on the Motor Racing Network, and we'll have it all buttoned up for you next week here on NASCAR Coast to Coast.
We sure will. Thank you so much, Kyle. Appreciate it as always. Of course, our producer, Pat Jaggers, we thank him as well. And William Sawalich, our guest this week. For everybody here at the Motor Racing Network, my name is Chris Wilner. This has been another edition of NASCAR Coast to Coast, brought to you by Whelen Engineering, manufactured in America for over 70 years. Whelen Engineering. We're going to break down all this action we just talked about next week, so stick around. We'll see you then.